Hello everybody, my fellow students of astrology. With this short video I hope to pique your interest in my next Patreon project titled Profections Light, which is the method I was taught by Robert Zoller, and what I call Profections Heavy, the method as used and presented by Valens. So let me tell you a bit about it and the difference between them. This new Patreon tier will be a practical guide to learning this fascinating method of timing based simply on counting images, which are the 12 topical places, which are called the houses in contemporary astrology. Nowadays, it seems that prediction techniques are used as kind of an oracle. What will happen? A kind of crystal ball, full of expectation. The astrologer looks at what all sorts of psychological or evolutionary material, a secondary progression, a primary direction or a transit might produce. And the events themselves are usually considered secondary or less interesting. It is assumed that prognosis is about new things and new developments. This possible modern confusion about prediction lies in a different way of thinking about exactly what happens when planet A arrives at planet B in the birth chart. If you think of them as basic energies, which is quite common nowadays, these energies affecting each other, then confusion arises because there are 1,001 possibilities if you assume that all the general meanings of the planets are in play in such methods. If you separate them from the precise roles and meanings they have according to the classical rules of horoscope delineation and interpretation, a much too broad perspective of all kinds of possible outcomes opens up, and confusion is the result. Now, Robert Zoller used to say, you can only predict what you know, which is kind of a funny contradiction in itself, because is it a prediction if you know what's going to happen? So that's funny and interesting, because what you know astrologically is to be found in the birth chart. And the first perfection method that I teach you here is the one that I learned from Robert Zoller, and that is based on medieval texts. Perfections simply by counting images, houses, images as being the topical places. With it you can find perfected months as well, perfected days, and even perfected hours to time possible events, or in retrospect evaluate events that happened. The title Profections Light is not meant in any disrespectful way, because it refers to the fact that the method of Valens is more complex in comparison. Zoller's method is simplicity itself and fun to use, and he was a master at it. Hence the title Profections Light. It covers the basic principles, hence the title. I saw Robert Zoller demonstrate this method at a workshop in 1989, and I was completely blown away. It was so simple and so effective. He showed its effectiveness in short, concise descriptions based on what the method showed to be the most important factors in a given year. So what is his or her life like in this year? What is the condition or state of the native in this year? This year will be about this or that, or the native's life will focus on or be centered on this or that topic, this or that issue. Now, this method is based entirely on the birth chart alone and does not require anything outside of it. So the perfections are completely embedded in the natal chart, which makes it so easy. Every 12 years, however, the perfection returns to the place where it began. Since each topical place always has the same natal conditions in any chart, this means that we should and could basically formulate the same kind of expectations, which is our prognosis, about that topic every time. Now, one of the important issues in the perfection system is thus how to explain why a perfection of a particular topical place, a house, shows different results in this 12-year recurrence. Why does it show a unique event in one year that is different from the other years corresponding to the same house under the same natal conditions? For example, the third topical place becomes the perfected ascendant in the 2nd, 14th, 26th, 38th, the 50th, and the 62nd years, etc. It would be silly to expect exactly the same thing for the client in each of those years. That would be silly. Enter Valens. Valens was a great fan of Profections and paid very close attention to them in his anthology, the booklets he wrote on the topic of astrology. And his way of finding the Lord of the Year differs from the medieval take on perfection, which is Zoller's method, so to speak. And it goes a long way in understanding why each 12-year period may be different. It even helps to find shifts in planetary rulership over specific months in a given perfection year. So come join me and my patrons in this exciting and hands-on investigation of this amazing ancient predictive method. So you can see here what you will get when you join me in this Patreon. Monthly uploaded video tutorials. They show how perfections work and they will be illustrated with many examples. And it helps you let's get a grip on what each year of your life has in store for you. Which planet is the Lord of the Year, for example. Very important issue in this perfection method. The light version of perfection, the one by Robert Zoller that I learned from him, can be done without any calculations, simply by counting, which is so easy and such fun. The heavy version of Valens is a bit more challenging, but Jean Kremers, his free software Planetance, is a great tool for this, and it can hardly be missed in trying to find out which planets are the ones having to do with what happens in a specific year. And Valens's method is quite sophisticated and very useful in its detailed approach. So, dear astrologers, join me in investigating the ins and outs of this extraordinary predictive method, which is so easy to learn and such fun to have in your toolbox. The next two slides, which I show in this video, show some kind comments on my YouTube videos and the address of where you can find these videos. And also, the next slide is on my ongoing efforts in promoting Hellenistic astrology under the banner of Vestigium Hermetis, which is the footprint of Hermes, and that's Hermes Trismegistus. That is not my own family name of Hermes, even though I like it very much.